views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Her formal career has been in investment banking. She did the top business colleges and the mainstream job on Wall Street. But her real passion was fashion, a passion that started at the tender age of 9. And stay tuned to hear how this Jamaican-born entrepreneur gave up Wall Street to pursue and follow her dream. That's coming up on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime, and of course, we thank you for watching. You can always watch Perspectives every week here on BronxNet's Channel 67. If you have Verizon Fios, that would be Channel 33, and also you can check us out on the web at bronxnet.org, where you can find out what's happening with Perspectives. You also know social media is that place where we can all get together. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my professional page, Daren C. Jaime on Facebook, and you can get some professional things, inspiration, and the like. Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we are talking fashion. Guess what? It's what my next guest calls ethical luxury. Yes, she put it aside, her career on Wall Street, pursuing her fashion calling. She's the creator of a Club Debut, a platform solution that connects brands and creators. Her journey from business into fashion is reflected in her line, which she refers to as ethical luxury. And she's here now to tell us more as Jamaican-American fashion designer, Kesi Gibson, and good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, and we're glad to share. And so, first of all, let's talk a little bit about your fashion. Mm-hmm. But before we get to fashion, I want to talk about Wall Street, right? Because you're doing really good on Wall Street, right? Doing a good job, and then something hits you.
I would say something had been hitting me for quite some time. So I actually grew up with my mom, who was also a fashion designer / artist. And so I had the experience of working with her in the fashion industry from a very young age. And so, I also was very, particular about education because of my father's influence. And so, Wall Street was something that kind of came along the way as I was studying in undergrad economics. Mm-hmm. And I kind of liked that aspect of things, the business, the politics, the control. And so I ventured off there. And then at some point, I just realized that I wanted to get to that point where I could, put all the aspects of me on one platform. So instead of having, fashion on one side, art on the other side, impact on the other side of things, and then my focus being finance, I wanted to create a platform where I could do it all, and this is how I was able to do that.
So now you got it going, and it's been a few minutes since you've been doing this.
Yes.
And, so now you've got what's called ethical luxury, right? So how do you define ethical luxury?
So if you think about the word ethical in and of itself, it means basically, whatever you're doing, it's in consideration of all the different parts and making sure that all along the line, the supply chain, as we call it, in fashion, everything is treated fairly, everyone is treated fairly. So from that perspective, it's not just about who is producing the end product of what I need to portray my brand. It's about, how do I make sure that those people along the supply chain are also, well taken care of as far as I can control, making sure that my employees are actually looked after the way that they should be, and not exploited. And so that's kind of the ethical part of it. The luxury, obviously, it's just like any other luxury company. We do focus on high quality raw materials, high quality execution. We work with the global supply chain across 14 countries, and we really emphasize the manufacturing and the quality of the finished product. And so if you connect all of those dots, put it all together, basically that's how we came up with the term ethical luxury.
I always ask people who are designers, like, what inspires you to do what you do in terms of your line? When people see your line, of course, there's a certain takeaway that you want from your line, right? So what's the takeaway, first of all, that you want from your line?
So I want people to feel comfortable, but also be able to feel like they can express their individuality. Like individuality is really, really important, because I do think that just with, you know, the current trends and the way fashion is experienced and consumed at the, you know, in this time, I think there's so much that's just duplicitous. So basically, it's like you can get a lot of fast things from, you know, the different fast fashion outlets, but from the individuality perspective, a lot of people struggle with that within affordable price points, but still consuming quality. And if they care about the consumption, you know, I wanted to give people the option to be able to do that, and so that's what Q does. We really focus on details of the aesthetic. We do a lot with colors. We play around with a lot of different raw materials and use unexpected raw materials for different things. And in that, we create the ability for the consumer to be able to customize and individualize like what they're wearing. Yeah.
When you talk about a Jamaican-American line, right? Somebody says, okay, what is the infusion of the Jamaican culture and the American culture? Is it the infusion of the American culture and the Jamaican culture? How do you do?
So I actually define it a little bit more broadly than that, because it's really truly a global company. Jamaica, because I was born in Jamaica-America, because I live here, but I don't necessarily say like it's a Jamaican-American line. It's more of a global construct. And so like I mentioned earlier, we source raw materials from 14 countries around the world. I personally travel to all the countries. I work with the artisans in the different communities.
You say what now? You do what now? You say you get from 14 countries. You did this so quick. No, I just do 14 countries, and I just travel 14 countries. So you go to all 14 countries where you get your stuff from.
Well, where I get the raw materials from. And so, because we work with a lot of artisanal communities, and so from that perspective, and that's the other thing about the individuality, a lot of the pieces, some of it is like handmade right there, and it's in small quantities, right? And so for me, it was just important to, you know, have that element be part of my brand, because my mom, when she was doing it, she worked significantly, almost exclusively with artisans around the world. And so I kind of wanted to kind of reflect that continuing in the brand.
So you grew up in the world of art and fashion, right? Your mom was well connected, and you said around 9 you wanted to really do this, right?
Well, I started working with her at 9. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but
so now you're working with her, right? Which probably was the foundation for, you know, for doing what you do today.
Probably.
When you say like where you are today, and you look and you say, wow, you know, okay, from 9 to here, a lot's been accomplished, right? What do you say is the most proudest moment for you?
Wow, that's a big one. I mean, I think it's really hard to define a proudest moment, so to speak, because like I've had different channels of experiences. I was definitely proud of my career that I had in finance, because I was able to, you know, in many situations, I was the only woman of color. I was the only woman. I was the only woman of color. I was the only Black person in general. I was the only Caribbean person. I was the only a lot of things, and performing at a very you know, high level. And so from that perspective, I was always very proud of that. My parents were certainly proud. As it relates to accomplishments, you know, I did 1 year while working at JP Morgan. I was on the advisory board for a company through the Women's World Bank. It was at that time when microfinancing was a kind of a big initiative. And I was really happy and felt really good about the fact that with just small effort of time for me, you know, and the rest of the team who was working on it, we could change so much for that company's actual future. And so that was a really great, for me, just one of those moments where I felt like, wow, you know, I could really see myself putting it all together and, you know, actually having the impact I want to have in the world, using my skills, but also just my intuition and passion. And so that was a proud moment. I think when I launched Club Debut, that was a very happy moment for me as well. Happy because it's kind of that extension of Q by Kesi. So Q by Kesi serves fashion, ethical luxury, all of that. Club Debut creates a platform to share all the things that I have worked for, that the access that I have through not just my abilities or connections, but through the network from my parents or whatever. I'm now able to actually share that with other individuals. And you know, when you look at brands or designers, when they think about how they launch their careers, a lot of times it takes a lot of money and a lot of people are cut off from the access to their goals or dreams or even potentials because of that, lack of access to capital. And especially for the arts or anything creative, it's that much more difficult to get funding as an entrepreneur. And so from that perspective, it was great for me to be able to actually provide a platform that can actually help an aspiring designer to get from point A to point Z without all of the what I call waste in the middle, resources, time, effort, all of that. And so that was a really good one.
Amazing. So listen, I want you to know Kesi Gibson is here with us talking about her line. We're going to talk a little bit more about Club Debut, but also about these raw materials. We'll talk about that when we return right here on Perspectives.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Continue our conversation with Kesi Gibson, who's here with us, talking a little bit about her fashion career, her fashion line, and so how long, the line's been out how long?
Since 2015 officially, but it's really been along for quite some time.
Right.
The reason is, like, I had always been designing, even while I was working in finance, I was designing for other people, and I was still designing limited collections for specific clients. I did the launch in 2015 in Fashion Week, but that was basically just to present the brand. And then I kind of just, continued to work with the clients that I had for quite some time before that, because I was so focused on my career as a consultant at that point. And then just lately, in the last 2 years, I've basically focused on Q to make it more of an established mainstream brand. So that's what I'm working on now.
How do you feel about the industry as it is right now, the fashion industry?
It's definitely extremely fragmented. There's a lot going on as it relates to technology, and as you can imagine, with any other industry, when technology becomes infused in it, it becomes a disruptor of sorts. And so, there are several different components. I'll just break it up into the consumer side and the designer side. From the client perspective, as you're trying to reach and engage clients, before, as a brand, you would need so much in terms of to go through all the channels to get to, how do you make it? You need to get sales, distribution. That passage to get to that distribution point was so long and convoluted before. Now with the advent of social media and, selling online, all these different opportunities and options, designers actually have more access to carve their path a little bit easier. But at the same time, there's a lot more competition. So everybody can just decide tomorrow, well, I'm a designer and I'm going to sell. So that, also dilutes, in a way, the the achievement, so to speak, of going through the process to become a designer. So that's on one side. On the other end, as it relates to just how customers engage brands, I think technology, with artificial intelligence and 3D web, all of that, I mean, I think it just, in the future, it's going to give consumers more opportunity to not just consume and do comparisons between products, but also be able to actually go deeper, understand the stories of the supply chain, which I emphasize a lot, focus on the people who actually produced and made the products and where the raw materials come from. Do I actually want to, buy this based on the values that I decide that I have or that I want to follow through on? Do I want to consume this product versus that product, all else equal? Because customers are going to be armed with that information, in the future because of technology, and that's going to actually really change the landscape of how brands actually become successful and kind of reshuffle, the brands at the top a little bit, I believe.
So when you talk about the sourcing of ethical and sustainability made raw materials, this is what you do. This is a part of, a major component of what you do. We're going to take a look. I think our producer has a picture of a dress, one of the dresses that we want to get off and be able to show a little bit of Kesi's work. And I want you to give an opportunity to walk us through it. I probably call for it. I call for it. There it is right there. Okay, there it is. All right. So tell us what we see here and what makes this, ethically, sustainably raw, all that.
So that dress was actually specifically designed for a show in Art Basel in 2017. And that was right after Hurricane Irma. In Miami. So just because I'm of the mindset of how can I, take something and, repurpose it for a higher purpose or something else, when I saw, I like sailing a lot, and I worked a lot with a bunch of different nonprofits. One of them is the Impossible Dream project, where they teach kids with disabilities how to sail. So that was one of the nonprofits I was working with at the time. And I went back there after the hurricane and saw so many destroyed, abandoned sails. And so I decided that for Art Basel that year, as I was trying to get inspiration for my project, you were asking me where inspiration comes from. Well, here's a good example. And I just decided to use that to inspire something. And what it ended up inspiring was a couture collection all made from recycled sail. And so this dress, the dress that you saw just before, that was essentially one of the centerpieces for the show.
I see. What kind of shows you got coming up?
So there's Fashion Week in September in New York. We'll probably do 2 other countries, but that's still to be determined. There is Miami Fashion Week in July. There's Swim at the end of May. And then we also do just our own experiential events at different points in times and in different cities. So those are always ongoing, and we announce them as we plan them,
right,
so to speak.
So everybody sees Fashion Week, right? And you see this great people walking down the runway, the lights, the camera, the action, right? But for you, it's got to be really rough because it's a lot that gets put in, and it's over almost just like that. But talk to us about preparation. We talked about Fashion Week in September. I mean, we're here already, and it's, April, May.
Yeah.
How long is the preparation?
I mean, we already started preparing. So I designed the collection probably a month and a half ago. Now we're sourcing the raw materials. We'll probably go into actual prototyping in 3rd week in May, and then we'll have all the samples back by end of June, and then by July we'll have basically whatever it is that we want to have ready for September. Then we'll do a fitting the 1st week of August to make sure all the pieces that I'm actually going to be showing down the runway based on the models I'm using, that they're also going to be well fitted, and then we'll have everything here for Fashion Week.
You just made it sound like it was it's just like this and that and this and that. But it is a process.
It is a process. And we're also helping other designers too. We're working through Club Debut, the platform I mentioned. For example, I don't think you're allowed to have favorites. One of the really exciting brands that that is a part of Club Debut, She, which means 10 in Chinese. They launched a resort collection in Art Basel, which is really well received, very beautiful, very colorful, flowy, really, really, really nice designs and patterns. they're also going to be doing, so Club Debut is going to have a fashion weekend, so we're also going to be working with some of the brands on our platform to see that to fruition. So I'm really excited for that too. And all of those follow the same process. So we're currently doing that with other designers as well too.
So we got a lot of things happening. Kesi Gibson here with us. Taking a quick break. We're going to have more shows. Stay with us coming up right after this.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls.
But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
And welcome back here. We are here on Perspectives. Kesi Gibson here sharing a little bit about that wonderful line that she's got and all great work that she's doing. And once again, so for Club Debut, somebody's just joined us. Talk about Club Debut.
So Club Debut is a platform that works with brands who need services and also other brands who need to connect with clients. It really initially started as an on-ramp, a platform for designers, fashion designers, and other entrepreneurs who actually want to take their businesses from A to Z, but need to figure out the middle, which is very difficult. So we create the supply chain, logistics, all of that to make A to Z happen for a fashion brand or a designer or an artist on one hand. On the other hand, for a sponsor who wants to reach and engage a specific client in a specific circumstance. And then we create the marketing services to help the brand who launched or the product that debuted actually reach and engage the audiences in creative and specific ways. In addition to that, we have curated events where we work with clients to create special events for them to get out whatever messages that they want and feature kind of whatever highlights that they want to showcase to the world in whatever capacity. So I can give you another example. So I just finished working on Protect Your Heart campaign. Protect Your Heart is a global campaign now. Next year it will be even more so global. This year was focused on 13 states across the U.S. And the purpose of that was, for Club Debut's perspective, was to curate all the different experiential events in the 13 cities to basically give the artist the platform to deliver on kind of what he wanted to portray to the world and how he wanted to connect to his audience. So that's one specific service. And we did the A to Z for that, working with Uncut Art, who is the artist for Protect Your Art.
Right. So if people say, listen, I want to see your work, I want to get it, I might want to purchase some pieces, some items, what do they do?
You can go to qbykesi.com, that's my website. Also, clubdebut.com, that's the Club Debut's website. You can learn more about the company, kind of what we do and how we structure things. You can also access on that site as well some of the brands that are on our platform who are ready for e-commerce. And on social media, I'm at Q by Kesi, KYUBYKESI, and Club Debut, it's at Club CLUB Debut DEBUT official OFFICIAL for Instagram and Twitter.
So before we leave, give some final advice. Somebody wants to do this. I mean, obviously, you've taken the plunge and done it and done it very, very well. For somebody who says, listen, I think I want to do this, what advice do you have for somebody who wants to get into this field?
In fashion, you mean? I would say make sure you're sure that it is something that you're really going to stick to. I'm not talking about just passion, because passion, everybody has passion for a lot of things, but the commitment and the stick-to-itiveness that's required, because not everything happens overnight. Collections take a while to come to life. It takes a while for clients to actually absorb what you're trying to sell. Financing is always, something that's difficult. It's better when you come to the table capitalized, or at least halfway capitalized, because then you are able to call the shots in kind of the direction that you take. Networks are extremely important. So, just understanding like all the different channels that you before probably would have just seen as, oh yeah, I'm a part of this group and I go to this church and I vacation with these people. At the end of the day, all of those are now channels into kind of the future of whatever it is that you're going to build as an entrepreneur. So start thinking about that, but definitely give yourself time, because it takes time and there's a lot of disappointment along the way. So definitely, make sure that your mind is ready for it, and then it'll be fine.
Well, Kesi Gibson has been our guest here. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the great work, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get you back here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Kesi Gibson here with us on Perspectives. For all of us here on the Set of Perspectives, I want to say thank you. And until next time we meet, stay safe, share your perspective. You just don't know. It just might make a difference in somebody else's life. Daren Jaime saying, take care. God bless everybody. We'll see you soon.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
Express what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a...
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.